Hey everyone, it's Mr. Souther coming at you with another video on Unit 2 from code.org. Today we're going to talk about Lesson 9 about mutator methods. Mutator methods are just a fancy way of saying, hey, we're going to go ahead and change something within a variable that's been assigned to an object. So let's get started right here. I'm going to go straight to lesson or module 4 because here's the first part where we'll be able to actually play around with some of the code. I'm going to go ahead and go to player and go with that. So quite simply for this module, what you need to pay attention to is last or 2 lessons ago, I had talked about from lesson 7, we did accessor methods. Their only job is to, for example, in this case, get the highest score of a player. So let's go through that one more time, and then I'll go through about how the mutator methods are different. So accessor methods, in this case, we're going to look at the tester class called GameRunner, and it's the main class. I know that's a tester class. We're going to go ahead and it looks like we already have created a player class object. The name of that object is Tetris Champ. Okay, it's obviously going to be a new instantiated object, and it's going to have some sort of thing with 682 as an argument. So let's take a look at what's going on with the player object. So if we go to the player class, you'll see that we have a player in the game, right? Public class player. We have a private instance variable that takes integer values called high score. And then we have, here's the constructor. So public player, and then that, what was it, 682? That comes in here as a parameter for the high score. And then when you use this dot for the keyword, that's going to localize that input, that 682, and attach it to the Tetris Champ score. So it's always assigned to that variable that's attached to that one object called Tetris Champ. And then here from last lesson, we went through how to write get high score. So we're going to go ahead and return the highest score. So here's the deal. Just as a reminder, some students have asked me, Souther, can you just print out Tetris Champ and it'll show me the score for Tetris Champ? You can't. Let me show you what that looks like just so you can see what's going to happen. So this is system.out.println. I'm just going to go ahead and print Tetris Champ and just see what happens. All right, because there is a variable already assigned to it. And what you're going to get is either an error, right? Because it can't find that symbol, right? In other cases, I've also seen where it'll just show me some like nonsense, random names or letters, numbers, and symbols. The reason it's doing that is it doesn't know A, that it can't print an object, and B, you can't, or otherwise it'll just print the memory or the storage location of wherever this object is stored in our memory for the computer. So there's a lot of problems there that we want to avoid. So in order to do this, we use get high score. Okay, so on top of that, let's say now I play a new game, and let's say I want to increase the score for player for Tetris Champ. So we want to increase that score is set to, let's say, 1,000. Okay, so Tetris Champ plays again, gets a high score of 1,000. Pretty cool. Well, what I need to do is there needs to be a way where I can update this score without having to go back in time and recode that line, right? Because originally they had 682. So I just want to kind of override what they had originally. So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to create a mutator method to go ahead and update that score. Let me get rid of that because I like to have a little bit more room. So if I'm going to go ahead and create a mutator method to update the value of score. How we're going to do that is you're going to do public again. And here's the key difference. We're going to do a void return type. And we're going to call it, instead of get high score, the easiest thing to do is call it set high score. Okay. Before I move on, let's talk about void. So when we had a data type stipulated, like in line 18, that means we're going to return some sort of integer value. That's really important. When you use public void, well, that's telling me that we're making a method that does nothing other than, or it doesn't return anything. It's not going to spit out a number or text or anything like that. It's merely going to do something, clean something, update something, right? Something that's not going to be tangible. So the other thing too is when we want to set a high score, I need to take in the original high score. So let's go ahead and bring in that int high score right in here. But here's the deal. This variable high score is already been declared and it's already been attached to the Tetris Champ object. So I need to be a little bit careful here where I can't just use the same variable again. So what I'm going to do is call it new high score. Okay. So the parameter I'm bringing in is that Tetris champ 682, but I don't want to call it the same variable name because then it'll get confused as to what it's updating. So now what I can do is I could do whatever the variable was, high score, right? And set that equal to this new high score that's coming in. Let's go ahead and clear everything so I can run it just to make sure I'm not getting any errors. And there we go. We get no errors, which is great. It shows the old high score. So then if I go to Game Runner, what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a new print. If I can type, right? Updated high score is going to be, and we use a concatenation with a plus, and I'm going to do Tetris champ again. And we're going to set high score. So I'm going to need to call that method. But remember, inside the parentheses, I'm going to go ahead and put in my new value. Okay, so again, I have a print happening of updated high score, uses the object to call the method, which is nothing new. And in that set high score, I'm going to bring in whatever the new value is that's supposed to be. Let's run it and see if it comes in errors. And I got an error, which is awesome. What happened here? So set high score, Tetris champ. What is the problem here? Let's see. Void, return type. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed up. So my class would be applauding right now. We're going to do a get high score here. I kind of jumped the bus here a little bit. So I'm going to do what I forgot to do is we're going to use Tetris champ. Okay, this is live video here, guys. So Tetris champ, and I'm going to go ahead and call this set high score. And let's update that score first. So let's update first. And then we're going to go ahead and print it. And what we're going to do to print it, right? We're going to print the new score here. So I used the wrong method here. That's going to be the get high score. Okay, so what this line 17 does, it's going to take the high score for Tetris Champ and it's going to change it from 682 to 1000. And then this one separately, I'm going to print that high score. Let's try this again. Fun little mistake, and we still get an error. Why? So get high score. Of course, I forgot the parentheses. There's a rookie mistake. Right? Because I'm calling a method, so it has to have the parentheses. And now you can finally see it. Let's go ahead and test it. I passed the program. Perfect. Let's go to something a little bit more interesting. Let me go straight to kind of the end here because it'd be nice to get some. Once again, we're kind of hitting hard the dessert classes. So let's go to the cupcake. And here we should be using a subclass for like cupcake, cookies, etc. at the superclass. The nice thing about going to lesson 7 is I'm basically going to take care. Oh, sorry, module 7, so I can take care of module 6 as well. I'm going to go ahead and pay attention to to-dos first, then I'll go back and clean up the instantiation of dessert object, etc. All right, so first thing I got to do is I need to import from my backpack. We need cookie, cupcake, dessert. Why not? Import all of them. Cool. There they are. By the way, I don't like dessert being the superclass all the way at the end, so I'm going to go ahead and move it to the left. There you go. So I have dessert, cookie, Java, or cookie, cupcake. Cupcake, I'm just going to confirm that extends dessert, so does cookie. So those are all subclasses. Dessert has to be your superclass. All right, everything's already created. So what they want me to do is they want me to instantiate a new dessert object, then call its mutator methods to change the values. Okay, easy peasy. So I'm going to go ahead and go to dessert. We have constructor. We don't have. I'm going to go ahead and write the accessor method while I'm at it. Okay, so it's going to be public. We are returning flavor and price. So flavor is a string, right? So let me do get flavor. Nothing needed there for my parameters. So return, just simply return flavor. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording to code the other stuff for the accessor methods because we've already done that. Okay, so now that I've coded the accessor methods, I also went ahead and instantiated a dessert object right here. So I'm going to go back to dessert. One of the things it wants us to do is write its mutator methods. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So in this case, we need to do one for flavor and one for price. So public void, and we're going to do set flavor. And we're going to go ahead and bring in that string new flavor as my constructor. Or sorry, not my constructor, my parameter. Good Lord. And then that will allow me to do flavor equals new flavor. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and run it just so I know for sure. Let me go ahead and code the other one too while I'm at it. So set price. That's going to be double new price. And then we're going to go ahead and do price equals new price. And run that. Okay, so now that all that's done, what I can do is I ran it, just making sure that I hope I ran it. Yep, no errors, we're good. So then I instantiated my fudge brownie object. So I'm going to go ahead and use let's go ahead and use the fudge object to call the set. What do they want me to do? They just change the values. So set flavor, let's just call it, brownie. I don't know. And then let's go ahead and do set price. And then we'll let it be $2.50. Why not? Run it, we're done. I don't need to print it. You already know how to print it. Now we're going to create the subclass, then call its mutator methods. Okay. So we want a dessert subclass. So in this case, let's use cupcake. Right. So let's go ahead and do cupcake velvet equals new cupcake. And then we'll call it needs a flavor, call it velvet cupcake. Or maybe red velvet. I don't know. Whatever people call these things. The price will be, $6.78, because why not? And then the last thing I need in cupcake is what? Is mini? Let's make it not a mini. Okay. So there's my object done. And then they want me to call its uh mutator methods. I think, did I write one for cupcake? I did not yet. Okay. So remember, this is a subclass. So in theory, dessert already has set flavor, set price done. So if those already have it, then in cupcake we have it as well. The only thing I have to do is just write the one for set is mini, right? And the what we're going to come in as the parameter is going to be a boolean. New is mini. How about that? Just some other name than the variable. Get my curly braces going so that I don't have to return anything, but I'm going to go ahead and do is mini equals new is mini. Go ahead and run it, make sure there's no issues with this, which there isn't. Perfect. So I'm going to clear the console and go back to the food truck runner. I made my little velvet thingamajigger. So I'm going to go ahead and use that to do the set. Let's do steps flavor, right? Let's do velvet, if I can type, set price, right? Call it, I don't know, $678.99, because why not? And then I'm going to do velvet dot set is mini. And we had it originally false. Let's go ahead and set it to be true, just so I can see the difference. And then for the flavor, I'll just say whatever. We're going to do, I don't know, blue velvet. I'm going to go ahead and run this just for now, just to make sure there's no errors. Right, and there isn't any. So we know that it's already been updated. So we took care of all that just to show you. Okay, now we need to do the fun part, which is in 2D number 3, we're going to prompt the user to enter new values. So I don't know how to do that, right? But what I did notice is at the beginning here, they wrote import.java.util.scanner. So scanner is something that our friends at code.org have already created for us. You'll notice that there's a scanner object called input, and it's going to use the system.in. If you are curious, if you go to documentation, you'll find the scanner class here, I believe. If I can just find it in like a second, here it is. There's java.util scanner. It'll tell you what it is. It's part of the java.utility package and primarily used to read inputs from a variety of different sources. So when you use scanner, it's going to go ahead and create that scanner object, and it's going to get the input from the user. So check this out. So you might wonder, how do I actually use this? I'm kind of confused. Well, if you do the how do I prompt the new user or the user for a value, it's going to tell you what to do from here. Okay. So then what you'll notice is it's probably hard to see on the video. I'll try and zoom in a bit. Probably not helpful, but we'll try. There we go. Pretty much zoomed in there. Where it's going to say, so the nice thing about code.org is they don't just give you the answers. They tell you, hey, this is kind of what you can do, right? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this, and I'm going to say print enter new price. So, okay, there's my system.out.println, set new price. So there has to be some sort of action here that happens. So I'll help, just to save you time and looking through documentation, I'll walk you through this. Okay, so to get going on that, let me zoom out once again to 100%. Okay, so in order to use this correctly, you'll see in the documentation tab too, but the first thing I got to do, so I said all that, which is great. I'm going to go ahead and prompt user. How we're going to do that is you're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and do a print, right? System.out.print. And we're not going to do a new line here because I want it to prompt, and you'll see how it displays in the console. So I'm going to enter a new price is what it wants me to write. Okay. And then after that, what we're going to do is we have that set up. There's a method in there that you need to do. And so the method is going to be next double. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to set the price, right? So double, and then you need to come up with a new variable name. Let's just call it new price, maybe new user price. I don't know. Right. And that's going to be equal to, so I have this variable called new double price or new price. That's a double variable. And you're going to use this input, right? You might be asking Souther, where's this input coming from? Well, it came from earlier. They already went ahead and made this input object. That's going to be critical because I have to use it to get that input from the user. So I'm using input, that object they've already created, to call the method. It's in the documentation, but it's called next double. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to take whatever it is the user wants and puts it in this new user price variable. Let's run it just to see what this looks like. And there it goes. You'll see the cursor's flickering, which means we can go ahead and set the new price. Once I type it in and hit enter, it's locked in. And in fact, the program is now completed. So I know that in new user price that it will be there. So let's go ahead and find out. And in fact, if I wanted to, I should be able to just print this thing. So let's do a new line, and then I'm going to go ahead and print out a new user price. Let's just see what it is. Can it show me? It's just a variable. It's not an object. Can it just print it for me? Oh, I need to put a new price. Let's call it 18 bucks, right? And there you go, and it'll show it. So we know that the value of new user price is being updated, so it worked, which is wonderful. Okay, so we did that printing, but remember, I still need to set this price, right? So we're not quite done yet because I need to use the mutator method to say, hey, we need to go ahead and use this guy as my input. So I'm going to go ahead and, excuse me, let's go ahead and delete this out. So I don't need that anymore. I need to use my object for, this is Velvet, right? And let's go ahead and set that price just like I did earlier. But instead of some arbitrary amount I put in, let's go ahead and use this new user price from our user to set it. And then I can go ahead and print out the new user price is, and then go ahead and use a concatenation and use new user, oh, sorry, not user price, it'd be in the Velvet object to call the get price method. So let's run it. It's going to ask me for a dollar amount. Let's say it's 15.67. And there you go. So that's been updated correctly. We know it's attached to the object because I used the Velvet object to do get price. That's the accessor method. But by using the object to use the set price method and update it with this new user price, then it works. So hope that helps. It's pretty complicated, but you guys are doing great.